And I guess this is what we should probably do as leaders as well, like recognize where people's strengths are and try to encourage that. But some of the things or decisions or allowances that I have let people influence me with during my life really change your outcome in life. Where, for example, when we're younger, we might be more easily influenced by people that we hold a lot of respect for, like family members, for example. So, and we don't have the conscious cognition, I guess, to make our own choices. I mean, some people might be more self-confident than other people, but I know that I particularly wasn't. Finishing high school, I relied fairly heavily on the opinions of others, like my parents, and I went into a degree that I was kind of encouraged to do so because of the strengths that my parents saw in me.
Welcome to the Leaders of Influence podcast, the show where leadership is not a title. It's all about influence and impact. Each episode, I sit down with leaders who have built trust, moved teams, and shaped outcomes where it mattered most. No motivational quotes, just the decisions, the habits, and the pressure-tested principles that create real influence. If you want to lead with more clarity, credibility, and care factor, hit follow right now so you don't miss the next conversation. Now, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we unpack all things influence. Why? Because it's such an amazing topic to talk about. And we get to talk to amazing humans like Denise Mokadsi. Denise is a Melbourne-based integrative health practitioner and belief transformation coach. Love these sort of humans, and we're going to learn a lot about ourselves today. Who helps midlife women reclaim energy, clarity, and confidence by aligning, listen to this, belief with biology. That's so cool. Through her feel-good health approach, Denise blends personalized health insights with mindset and embodied change work, positioning well-being as not another short-term program, but as a sustainable way of living and leading. Denise's work speaks to women navigating hormonal and metabolic change, the chronic fatigue, and the mental load of midlife. It's such important work, offering a framework to design and reduce burnout, and replace guesswork with a personalized strategy. We had probably 2 or 3 podcasts a little while ago where we lent into menopause. I was really intrigued because obviously my wife is at that age. But so I'm keen to talk to Denise about the work she does. Now, Denise's practice integrates element of health science, nursing. Denise might have been a nurse in a former life. Genetics-informed, these are big words. Genetic-informed personalization, epigenetics, and trauma-informed coaching. Denise Mokadsi. Now, did I say that right?
You did.
Oof. You would not believe, or people wouldn't believe how behind the scenes I just practiced that for like half an hour.
I do believe it. Lots of people get tripped up on it, but it's pretty easy. It's
Oh,
just
it
where
is.
you break it up, yeah.
See, I don't know about you. When I first read your name, I read Denise Mokadsi. And I went,
Yeah.
oh, and then I went, I'm going to go back and read that again.
Yeah.
Now, talking about your name and your bio, what do we forget? Was there anything else on there that you'd like to add?
No.
All good?
Yes.
Cool. Great. I like it. Now, let's jump straight into the topic at hand, which is influence and finding your influence. And what I'd love to know from you first, if that's cool, is what does the topic of influence sort of mean to you, or that concept? How would you define the word influence? Because you're a coach, you've got to influence people. What does that word mean to you, please, Denise?
Yeah, I love this question. And obviously your podcast, you would ask that question so many times to people. So probably people will have a similar answer, but I reckon because everyone's an individual, it's going to be a little bit nuanced. And I think for me, this is where it is a little bit, well, my perspective is that when we look at the word influence, a lot of us would agree it's something that's affecting us, impacting us, moving us, whether it's good or bad, or positive or negative. I don't like the word bad sometimes. But a lot of these things that impact us or influence us, affect us, are often forces that many of us don't see, like they're quite invisible. A lot are external, many are external. We can see society, we can see, let's take social media, for example. We know that that exerts a big influence on a lot of people. It's an external influence, but I guess this is sort of the nuanced where with my stance of the belief shift is that the amount of influence that something or someone has on us is only going to be determined by the level of our experience or meaning we give that interaction with someone or something. So how do we influence that? How do we become more conscious of that? And so in that way, for me, influence isn't really about controlling everything, whether it's through visibility or invisibility or persuasion. It's more about, okay, this influence or impact that something might have on me is only by me allowing it to have that impact. And therefore, it must start with me. It must start more internally rather than thinking that influence is an external thing. And so that's kind of what I try to do with people, coach them and get them to understand, become more aware of how they're showing up as a result of what might be influencing them based on the meaning they're giving that actual experience. And that's which makes it really powerful because we're actually in control of that. We can choose for something to affect us or not. It's just, what do we believe about that particular thing that's causing us to have a response to it in a particular way that may be influencing us or not? Like for a lot of people, for example, I don't really care that much about certain things in social media. So I'm a bit immune to it because my belief about it is such that I'm not going to let it influence me. But things that do influence me is probably going to be based on the things that I really value, or because influence can be a little bit sneaky or hidden, and it's very cunning and intelligent. If people want to manipulate you, it's very intelligent, like it's an influence. But if I want to become aware of that, then it's either I've got to actually understand, be conscious of my values and whether it's going to judge, question what I believe or what I hold to be valuable, or I'm prepared to trade off some of my values for something else. So it might be a validation of something, like someone might really value something, but they might be persuaded or influenced to do something against their values only if it feels like they're going to gain something from that. So it might be a validation or success of some material thing or money. Often people will do things they don't want to necessarily do for money or for something that there might be an expectation on that they believe is worth trading their value for. But I think, so, mostly the values are going to try to keep someone solid to what they believe. That's a big answer.
That was like
I'll be quiet now.
No, please don't, please don't. That was like a full page answer. That was phenomenal. And to go back to where you started that, this is the 149th time that I've asked that question.
Yeah.
I just had to check while we were talking. That is phenomenal. And I love how you ended that on, well, you sort of went through the manipulation piece, which is the negative use of influence, I say. But then to the point, if we let ourselves be influenced, we can violate our values. And that's unbelievable. You know, we've got these values of integrity or honesty or transparency or whatever, you know, let's say, or, you know, or relationships. But, you know, then, you know, that doesn't show up in the way you behave because you might be, you know, flirtatious, or et cetera. Or you're a leader who's transparent that doesn't share any information, you know, like it's that is a powerful, powerful point that you make. Some leaders are able to not violate their values and they'll leave an organization because someone asked them to do that.
Mm.
The values don't align. Shit. And we've gone from influence to values. So that's pretty powerful. That was a really powerful response. Thank you so much. On that, who, Denise Mokadsi, has had the biggest influence, personally or professional, on your existence? Pretty please.
Yeah. I think throughout my life and probably everyone else's life, there's always going to be different people that influence your life, you know, at where you are in the stage of your life, and probably leaning more into the values. The people that have had big influences on my life have been more aligned to the thing that I really valued, and supported me, I guess, through my own strengths of that. And I guess this is what we should probably do as leaders as well, you know, like recognize where people's strengths are and try to encourage that. But some of the things or decisions or allowances that I have let people influence me with during my life really change your outcome in life.
Okay.
Where, for example, when we're younger, we might be more easily influenced by people that we hold a lot of respect for, like family members, for example. So, and we don't have the conscious cognition, I guess, to make our own choices. I mean, some people might be more self-confident than other people, but I know that I particularly wasn't. Finishing high school, I relied fairly heavily on the opinions of others, like my parents. And I went into a degree that I was kind of encouraged to do so because of the strengths that my parents saw in me, even though it wasn't necessarily particularly the most passionate thing for me.
Wow.
So I was kind of influenced, I guess, by them, which led to an outcome and a direction in my life that could have been quite different had I have not been influenced by these people.
Wow.
And I'm not saying rightly or wrongly. It's
Yeah.
just your choices based on who influences you can have a big impact on the direction of your life. Yeah. And I think then as I just grew and matured and became a bit more self-confident, that I was more likely to listen to my own strengths and my own desires to influence the choices that I was making rather than be at the mercy of being influenced by other people.
Wow.
Which kind of changed my trajectory a little bit. I mean, I still love science and the human body and all of that, but I also love teaching. And I wanted to originally do, yeah, the brain. Awesome. I wish I had one of those.
Yeah. I don't even know if you can get them anymore. I'll have a look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think you sort of come around. So I would have loved to have done a teaching degree, but instead I went into science, which I still really loved. But there was a constant kind of pull for me to find some way to still teach or coach. And so, you know, sort of finally got there, but it was 2 degrees later and a lot of sort of detours along the way, which was all fine, but different people that I met along the way influenced further decisions I made in further study or, you know, the networks that I made and people that I met. So, yeah, I think it just changes so much, doesn't it? Like we're so influenced by different people and different things depending on our mindset, our, you know, emotional intelligence, all these things along the way that are going to change how we interact with that influence. how we create the meaning of that interaction to what we then decide to do.
Denise, you are so articulate. You say this so beautifully put. How we interact with the influences on us and different stages of lives. And could I ask, if it's okay? I know it wasn't on the question set, but I think you're up for it. You obviously work with females now who are sort of struggling to just deal with the changes in hormones and biology and the science of their body. I guess what tips have you got for, like, I want to make sure that everyone gets some value, and there'll be some female listeners to this who are probably going through some life changes. What are your biggest tips for those ladies? And I wonder if there's men out there going through andropause too that might, and these messages might be similar. Same.
Yes, I think definitely men are. Once we sort of hit that mid-40s, 50s, late 50s, 60s, there's so many changes in the hormones that really change a lot of how our bodies interact with the world around us. But the thing that I find a lot with women that I coach is they're all looking for kind of the one magic pill, or like the one solution that's going to help everything, and there's just that just doesn't exist. And even if it did, it wouldn't suit everybody because we're so individual. So I think the thing that's probably going to help most people is just to really give yourself some grace and permission to just know that you're one of one. And your experience is completely unique to you. So don't try to chase the things that we see externally. If we talk about influence, a lot of women that I work with will be looking at Instagram and looking at all the sort of social feeds and say, I think I need to go on hormone replacement therapy, or, this kind of training really worked for somebody else. I think I need to lift more weights, or, my friend went keto, or she's doing intermittent fasting and it worked really well. Should I do it? And I'm like, well, it depends. Are you them? So there's so many things, that influence someone's life. So whether a particular strategy is going to work really means looking at all of the pieces of the puzzle. It's not like, someone who's working on their health might feel that a part of the puzzle is missing and they're looking for this just one piece. But there are many pieces that go in to make this puzzle complete, and every picture looks different. So me trying to find pieces that might fit someone else's puzzle may not necessarily fit your puzzle. So it's about asking questions as a coach, asking questions about where someone is currently in their life. What is it that they want to achieve, and why are they not there yet? Like what do they think is missing? What would be the thing that would complete the puzzle for them? Because I find people know better than me, like they know them better than I know them. So when you ask the right questions, they already have the answers there. They just haven't seen them. So it's about kind of exposing it so that they go, oh, yeah, right. Now I see it. And then they can try something because they feel then it's their idea. I'm not giving them an idea. I'm just trying to help them find their own strength within, because of how they might be thinking about something. Like, this is part of the belief shift, because what we think all the time is basically what we manifest. Well, where we bring our attention is what we're creating in our life. So if someone is coming to me and they're really, they don't want the extra weight that they're carrying, for example, if they continually focus on that, the more we resist it, the more we kind of prop it up. Like if you think of a tree that's fallen, or, when we're resisting something, we're pushing against it, which props it up and kind of lets it still speak. But what we really want to do is let it fall away and not give it our attention. This is the same with influence, where whatever is pulling our attention is likely to influence us. And wherever that focus is, we're going to give energy to that. So if someone was to change something about their life, rather than focusing on what they don't want, they need to create a new paradigm of what they do want and just focus on that. And I think that can help everyone, because so many people will look at all the problems in their life, and the more you focus on that, the more energy you're going to give that problem. It's think, all right, what does a desired future look like for you? How would you operate? How would you show up if you came from that place? You know, what is that person doing, thinking and feeling? Take action from a person that has health or has fitness, rather than the person you are now in this stuck space of, you know, not enoughness or not, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, wow. Jeepers creepers. Where your energy goes, your focus flows, that's for sure. Oh, sorry, where your focus goes, your energy flows. Yeah. Don't resist. Don't resist it, because we'll prop it up. And don't focus on what you don't have or what you're trying to lose. Focus on what you're trying to gain. Wow. Powerful, simple concepts, powerful stuff.
Mm.
And I love where you said that there's no magic pill. There's not a one size fits all for everyone. And I think we are all very different. And I love from your coaching perspective that you've worked out if it's their idea, it's probably more likely to get implemented and acted on. That's quite influential. You know, that's one's key skill of influence, is how to help someone else have the idea. In all your years of coaching and all the work you've done and all the experience you've got now, Denise, I just wonder whether, and this is a humility question, and now's the time not to be humble. Who are you most proud of? Have you got some stories? You might say all my clients, but have you got a story where you just were able to influence someone and you just go, you know what, I'm so grateful that I was able to have that impact on their life or whatever?
Yeah. Family is one of my highest values. So I'd have to say the thing that I'm most proud of and really changed the trajectory of my life, especially through the health lens, is the work that I did with my son, who at the age of 10 was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. And he's always dreamed to be a professional dancer and, you know, musical theatre on stages and stuff. And so when he got this terrible arthritis in all of his joints and could basically walk and, you know, had to be in a wheelchair when they went on a school excursion, I was like, I'm not accepting that. I want to find a better outcome for him. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. And so we went down all the traditional medical pathways and it just wasn't helping. And I knew that there was more. There were solutions out there that I just wasn't aware of because I hadn't exposed myself to them. And that really opened up for me the whole world of integrative health and traditional, like Chinese medicine and nutrition and naturopathy, all these sort of, you know, less conventional medical models, I guess, still based in science, evidence-based. But once we went down that pathway and I was just working with his energy systems and we changed his diet, and probably the biggest shift for him was a change in his belief system. Like there was trauma, and this was kind of part of the trauma work and coaching that I'd learnt. And I was like, I wonder if this might help him here. And it really did. It was like night and day. One day he was riddled with arthritis in every joint. And after doing some really powerful work with him, the next morning he woke up and, like, he's 10 and he's like, Mum, my hands feel normal. They feel great. And I was just so happy, you know, because, and so was he. Like he said, I just don't know what I would ever do if I was never able to dance again. And he's 20 now and he's an amazing dancer. So, you know, basically feel like, not that I gave his life back, we worked together on it, but if I didn't explore other options, or if I was pretty complicit in just going, okay, that's just how things are, then I don't really like to think where we might be now. Like, I just didn't accept no for an answer, and I think just staying curious, like part of this being really proud of this moment is that I would encourage other people to also find moments in their life where they can be really proud of themselves and who they help by just being curious. Yeah. And like not letting a no stop you. Just because it's a no from someone doesn't mean it's a no ever. Or, it's like I always think if a client says no, it's like in my head, I just hear not now.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah. But just keep looking, like until you get the answers you want and you feel like it's right. It feels like it's truth in your body. Like if you feel good, like this is kind of why this is my brand, like feel good, because energy is everything and how you feel is a feedback mechanism for what's actually aligned to your truth or mistruth. And that's what I just encourage people to do. Just stop and listen and feel your body. If it feels good in your body, you're probably aligned to your truth. And if something feels off, just don't think you're doing something wrong. Just be curious about it. Just go, okay, this doesn't really actually feel aligned in my body. I wonder why that is. What belief probably have I bought into, or what assumptions or expectations am I making here that is not really true to who I am as a person?
Off tap. Good answer. My wife listens to all my podcasts. She said one day, "Gee, you get excited listening to the." I said, "I do. Like,
Yeah.
you just, Denise, you just so much value to add, and your clients are lucky to have you. And I really, really hope that there's some males and females, or females and males maybe, because females your jam. Do you coach males as well through?
Yes, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that was the case. Please reach out to Denise, because I think there's just so much value in all of us doing the work that Denise has done. I think Denise wrapped that question up with, where I started it, and that was be proud of what you're doing in life. That's why I say it's so humbling. I ask people, who they're proud of, and they say, "Oh, it was all them, and I haven't done anything." Stop being so humble. And these stories, like the one Denise just told us, I nearly cried. That is a tearjerker story, and Denise, I'm just so just happy for you that you're proud. That's you and your son. That's just an amazing story. Well done. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing that with us. Now, let me ask you this: you had leadership in your profile here. It was about coaching leaders, I think, or personal. There's leadership in there somewhere. Do you work with leaders, and what does leadership mean to you, and why is working with leaders important?
I think leaders have a beautiful opportunity to really help the growth of everyone around them and themselves. I think what I see, because I work with a lot of high level execs and really high achieving women and men,
Uh-huh.
is that it really starts with us as well. Like I sort of said at the start, I think leadership and influence, they're so connected.
Yes.
If we're going to be a leader, we're only a leader if we're actually adding influence and support and guidance to others. There can be bad leaders, sure, and they're still guiding people, but I think true leadership is not necessarily about telling people what to do. Like, it's about guiding them and allowing them to see the strength that they have and their capacity, and allowing space for that to show and
Right.
be shared with everyone else that's sort of working with them. And I think leaders that are really humble and have that emotional maturity and cognition will sometimes show that they're not absolutely certain of everything that's going to come. Like, I think it's okay to be uncertain of future direction, especially when you're trying to create change in an organization or in a person's mindset or behavior. it's fine not to know the answers. And I think it's good if leaders can sort of show their people that they don't always know the answer, but they still will move forward with a level of faith that what they're doing is right because it feels right. Leaders that can move forward because they know things are right is also great. Like you've got the evidence of that and you know something might work, so you can guide and support people in that direction. But I think when we're challenging status quo or we're creating sort of higher outcomes, we're going to places that we haven't been before. And so we don't really know what's going to happen, but we want to raise the bar. So we want to continually raise the bar, and leaders take people with them. They will, give them opportunities for the other people to shine. And I think, if a leader can just be really honest and humble and say, look, I don't know where this might go, but let's see the strength of everyone in the cohort is going to help this grow, or, there's so many things, but it really starts with that leader's own mindset, that leader's own perception of influence on their life, understanding the things that impact their decisions and why, why they've made those decisions, so that they can kind of understand with a level of empathy why someone else might be working through some stuff.
Wow.
Why someone else might be making certain decisions based on that other person's life experiences and other influences, because they'll be different to the leader's experience. Yeah. So, it's, a lot of things come into being a leader and showing that same level of influence, but in positive ways.
Absolutely. Bit off topic, though I know you're up for it. Can you think of the best leader you ever worked for? Talking about leadership.
Oh.
Who's the best? Who's your maybe favorite leader or best leader or?
Yeah. When I was nursing, I was sort of second in charge, and probably the leader, my boss, kind of seconded me into her role, and she went off for a little while. But that experience instilled in me a lot of self-confidence when I wasn't sure about that I could do the job. Like when someone else can see something in you, sometimes you've got to ride on their confidence to get into it, because you don't always know everything. You learn mostly in the job, on the job. We don't know all of the things that we might need to know when we start a job. So I think when someone else recognizes the leadership qualities that you might have and pulls you up to something that you feel a bit uncomfortable, but gives you the confidence that you can do it, that was a really beneficial opportunity that I had, and an experience that I think as a leader that I would want to do to other people as well, because I know the impact that had on me with having someone else's trust in me when I didn't have the trust in myself. And then once I've built that trust, you're good to go. But to impart that on someone that you can see has the thing and just needs a bit of support to get them to that higher level, I think that really stuck with me, like having a leader like that to push me. Yeah.
Wow. Denise, another great answer. And one more, and thank you. That was fantastic. And kudos to that leader in nursing. That's phenomenal. So leaders that see something in us that we don't see, they see our potential. So powerful, so powerful. And it changes our lives, gives us opportunities that we probably wouldn't have taken, potentially. Nursing, so undervalued.
Yeah.
Like teaching. What drew you to nursing? Were you born empathetic, or was that the one that your parents pushed you into? But you said you did a science degree. Was that nursing, or?
Yeah, no, I did a science degree first, and then I went back to uni and did the nursing degree.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's and then from that I became a nurse educator. So I still got into my education. I was
Oh,
helping NICU graduates come into the ward and understand the whole world of neonatal intensive care. It's very overwhelming.
oh,
Um,
oh, you were
but
working with babies.
yeah,
Wow, that's important work. All nursing's
yeah, it
important
was
work.
fantastic. I mean, it was another life of mine. I 15
I
years
get.
of, neonatal intensive care nursing, which was fantastic. I learnt so much, and as a mum, it gave me so much confidence with my own kids. So, I really loved it. But yeah, nursing's very undervalued
Mm,
in a way, I think. But you have the personality for it.
mm,
Nurses won't go into nursing, or people don't go into nursing if you don't have a level of empathy and
of course,
care for human
you've
beings. And
got
I
it.
loved the human body. Like, the science degree gave me so much interest in how the human body works
Wow.
that I wanted to be on the other end of that. But
Mm.
yeah, through that, moving from helping people who were kind of sick to getting them just okay to get back out into the world. Then I moved more into fitness, where I was working with people who were healthy. How do I get them optimally well and healthy? So it was kind of still similar, but you know, life just takes its detours here and there. Yeah.
Nice. Same, but different, we say. Same.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny when you think about it? And I don't know if you've sort of put these two and two together at the moment, but you started in neonatal care, and now it's sort of menopausal women.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of you got the early life and the late life transition. Like, isn't that intriguing though? Like, what a
Mm.
full circle.
Mm.
Denise Mokadsi, you are amazing to talk to. You are extremely articulate and extremely knowledgeable, and we've loved hearing from you. And I'm sure our viewers now, listeners, have. Denise, I'm going to do an outro now, but I'm going to actually ask you. I'm going to give you a minute or two just to think of something really powerful to end the podcast on, while I sum up what I got out
Okay.
of the podcast. Listeners and viewers, if you haven't got a heap of value from this, you probably haven't listened closely enough, because that was a powerful, powerful, powerful conversation. Denise started with, like I said, a full page definition of what influence means. It means, having a perspective. It means, and get these three words very specifically that Denise used. Influence is what affects us, what impacts us, and what moves us. Holy dooly, and that's really, really cool. What Denise really talked about was that we can't be influenced unless we give something a meaning, unless something has meaning for us, and we allow it, because influence starts internally. And yes, there's external influences. We get that, and Denise acknowledged that. But influence starts externally. What do we allow ourselves to be influenced by? That was powerful. But you know what? Sometimes we allow ourselves to be influenced by the wrong external influences. And we had a great conversation, or a great part of that conversation, about violating values. People will violate their value system. You never violate your beliefs, because you're conditioning. They're just what sits there. They're your convictions. But you'll violate your values as a human, which is really interesting, and it's an intriguing concept. Do some research into that, why people do violate their value system. Some leaders don't. Influence and changes outcomes. And Denise talked about her family influences, and the fact that, as we go through life, we rely on people less. When we're young, we rely on other people to influence us, because we're sponges. But I think as we find our feet in the world, as we get chronologically more successful, as Denise and I are, we're sort of into our sort of middle years. We rely less on the opinions of others, and we know what our strengths are, and we listen to ourselves, which is really powerful. Now, what Denise said that I've circled, there was this great part of that conversation where Denise said, "There's not a magic pill," but Denise said, "Here, if there was one, here it is. Give yourself permission to be you. You are one of one." That's a really, really powerful statement to make. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to be us. We're trying to please or whatever. But where our focus goes, our energy flows. And so be conscious of that. Look for what we want to become, not what we don't have or what we're missing. Denise really talked about that as a concept. But the story that just should tear at everyone's heartstrings was helping Denise's 10-year-old become the dancer that he wanted to become, who's 20 now, and who is so grateful to his mum and to life for taking a different turn because he gets to live his dreams now. And holy shit, that's Influence 101. That's impacting a life. And how proud. And Denise said, why don't we all be a bit more proud of what we've achieved? And I love that. And then Denise talked about leadership, raising the bar, see the potential in other humans, let humans, lean into their strengths. And I could probably unpack this a little bit more, but let's go back to the woman of the moment, Denise Mokadsi. Finish us off, please, Denise.
Well, I guess I'd like to say that influence isn't something that we find outside ourselves. It's something that we reclaim within.
Love it. Short and sweet. Not outside. Reclaim from within. Denise Mokadsi, you are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to get alerted to future episodes. Please reach out if you would like to sponsor one of our episodes. Please reach out if you would like to be a guest on one of our episodes. Please take what you've learnt from these amazing people that are good enough to give us their time, put it into your life, and again, influence yourself from within and reclaim what is within. You've been on the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea and Denise Mokadsi.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders of Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. And if this episode gave you even one idea that you can use this week, can you please do me these 3 things? Follow the show so you never miss an amazing leadership conversation. Share this episode with one leader on your team or on another team who you think could benefit from it. And if you want the full framework, the full experience, and to dive deeper, grab the book Leaders of Influence. By the way, that book's been a week on the bestseller list. It is built to help you lead with conviction, earn buy-in faster, and drive execution without having to chase people. If you want to bring leaders of influence into your business, if you want to have a conversation around how you can create leaders of influence, reach out. Let's talk. The links to connect with us are in the show notes. See you on the next episode.